Peace and blessings, family. Peace and blessings. It's your man Jay Free, coming once again. As I said, I want to make sure that I continue to come forward with information. I'm going to try to come at least once a week, just to get started, to get people back, familiar with myself, as well as just me, to make sure that I'm thorough in the information that I'm coming forward with. I have notes in front of me, so you'll see me looking down at different times, but that's just to keep myself on track, because I'm not talking to anyone other than the microphone and the camera. And so with so much information, it's easy for me to get off track. But with that being said, I just want to say, again, like, share, subscribe. Please leave comments in the section. Any questions that you may have, anything that you may want to discuss going forward. But I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to, go with the theatrics and do a whole lot of talking. So with that being said, let's just dive right on into it. So today's topic, I want to start with foundational principles. That means that, like I say, I've learned and I've grown. So I want to start by dealing with the foundation, so we can build up to the higher level things and the deeper discussions and deeper information. I don't want to go too far over our heads without us first having a foundational principle. As I've stated before, quoting the late Barbara Hillary, as I said, that I believe that Christianity is the greater rape, the greater shackle of the black mind than slavery ever was. And again, I believe that that's a powerful statement to make when you look at the impact and effect that slavery has had on us for generations, on our emotional and stability and the state of us as a people and society, the effects that it has had on us as well as other groups and communities that slavery has affected. And there's good and bad and everything, but I'm just saying that's a major statement to say that Christianity is a greater rape or a greater shackle. And as a licensed and ordained minister, I've had experience myself as well when it comes to Christianity or with religion. And I would have to say, again, that's why I quote it often, because I second her emotion. And so for me, I found that it's important for me to address those areas of which I'm familiar with. That's what I believe that the unction or the call on me is to share this knowledge and this information for those that are actually have a desire and a seeking for truth. And so foundational principles. Today we just gonna get right into it, and we're gonna talk about, what do we believe? Like, at the very core, the question is, what do we believe? When we say that we're Christian, what exactly that means? And I'm saying that not as a rhetorical question, but a serious question that I hope that we would ask ourselves. What does that mean? What do I believe? Because for myself personally, and I'm going to share this because I know it's true for most of us, and that is that I'm Christian. I was Christian by default. And what I mean by that is that environmental programming, unconscious environmental programming, without me even being aware. So from the time that I was born, whenever there was a funeral, it was at the church. That's my community. When there was a funeral, it was at the church. When there was a wedding, it was at the church. On occasion for Easter, or occasionally on Christmas or Mother's Day, some of those types of events, we would go to church. And so just by default, as a child, I learned that the church was, quote unquote, where I would find God. That's where God was at, and I was a Christian because that's where my family were. So how you fill out a questionnaire, say for a job or something like that, and they would ask you, what's your religion? I would put Christian, even though I didn't fully understand or know what that meant. I just knew I was Christian because that's where my family was. And it could be different for any family. If you were a Muslim and you grew up in a Muslim community, in a Muslim household, then maybe you went to a mosque for the weddings or a mosque for the funeral. You see what I'm saying? And so your unconscious programming said that you were a Muslim, even though you may not have had full understanding of what that meant, but that's what you were. That's what you identified as. And so for myself, I identified as a Christian because that's what my environmental programming had taught me from a young age. And so I didn't understand what that meant. You get what I mean? Like, I didn't know that there were differences when it comes to church or differences with doctrine and denomination. I was unaware of these things. All I knew is Christian. So if you said Christian, I thought that everybody that went to church were the same. I thought Christianity was the same. I didn't understand that there were differences, you know, Baptists and Church of God in Christ and Pentecostal and holiness and, you know, Jesus only, and we believe in the Trinity. We don't believe in the Trinity. We believe in water baptism to be saved. We believe in, you know, and I could, the list of different doctrines can go on and on, but I'm not, what I'm pointing out is, what do we actually believe? Do we really understand? Because what I find is that we've been, the information that we follow oftentimes is that which has been given to us without us really questioning it. You get what I mean? And so as a Christian, the first thing, so we're gonna just, like I say, the foundation. So what do we believe? I'm a Christian. So what I say, I'm a Christian, but why do I say I'm a Christian? My environmental programming. And so one of the things about that environmental programming that we start with, the foundation, is just simply that as a Christian, the first thing is that the Bible is the infallible, unblemished, unadulterated, inspired word of God. It is all truth and all knowing. So this is like the foundation. Like ultimately, that's what we profess or we claim as Christians. The Bible is the truth. You know, BIBLE, basic instructions before leaving earth. You know, these are the things that we're taught. And so the Bible, the word, the word, the word. And so this is what we put our trust and our confidence in, is the Bible. And we say that the Bible is all knowing. This is God's word. It's infallible. You know what I'm saying? It is unadulterated. It is unblemished. It is inspired by men speaking from God. And so everything that we do is based off of this foundation. And so whatever we say, whatever's in the word is what we follow, and that the word is our truth. But as I just stated a moment ago, I mean, there's over 1,000 different denominations when it comes to actual teachings and doctrines of the Bible, but yet it all comes from the same book. You get what I'm saying? We all profess that we have a truth, but we're professing our truth as different from others, even though it all comes from the same book. So that's just a matter of interpretation or misunderstanding. But again, that's what we're going to get into, is breaking down some of these points and these facts so that we can begin to look at what it is that we say we believe. So let's just examine these things a little closer. So firstly, just a couple points. When it comes to the Bible, our version, the version that is so widely accepted that we accept, is called the King James Version. Our version of the Bible wasn't even introduced until the year 1611. When it came about, there are multiple other texts that exist prior to this. And so we have 66 books that are listed in this Bible from Genesis to Revelation. Within these 66 books, they claim to have all truth. However, there is an Ethiopian Bible, and I'll just point out some differences. So the Ethiopian Bible has between 81 to 88 books, they say. Most of them say 84 books. So if this has 66 books and they have 84 books or 88 books, that's 22 books, you know, that we don't have in here. Even the Catholic Bible itself has 73 books. And so even within the Catholic Bible, that's still 7 books that we don't have in this book. Now, I'm not saying that to say this is right and this one's wrong. I'm pointing out the differences in the books themselves. And the Catholic Bible, as well as the Ethiopian Bible, are much older than the King James Version of the Bible. The Ethiopian Bible is 800 years or so older the um, than the King James version of the Bible. Not to mention the Ethiopian Bible. One thing of important note to me is that the Ethiopian Bible possesses the Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch, I believe, is an essential tool. Yeah, the uh, the Book of Enoch, and I believe that the Book of Enoch is very important when it comes to scripture or doctrine, because within the King James version itself, it talks about Enoch having a relationship with the Most High to such a point that the Bible says that he was called up, that Enoch didn't even die. He walked with God and pleased God so much until God called him up literally in the flesh. Now I don't want to go into all the detail. If you got questions, we can get into that later, because we know the Bible says that, like I say, if we say we're going to believe the Bible says that no flesh can inherit the kingdom. So how Enoch was called up in his flesh, we're going to leave that alone for right now. But this is why I'm pointing out some of the differences that we need to pay attention to when we say that we're believers and we say that we follow the Bible. We need to understand what it is that we say that we're following, and we need to understand the truth of it, or the falseness of it, either way. But we need to know and understand instead of just accepting that which has been given to us. And so like I say, different Bibles. The Sinai Bible, for example, is considered the oldest Bible to exist. It's 1,000 years older than our King James version. Not to mention, if you trace the history of the King James Bible itself, it goes back to Francis Bacon, who was a follower of Martin Luther. And so actually the King James version of the Bible was intended to be a Bible for Protestant Reformation. So it was a English Protestant Bible, because Martin Luther decided to branch off from the Roman Catholic Church, the Catholic Church which was established as Christianity. And so he created the Reformation, which branched off from Catholicism, and they call it, of course, the Protestant Reformation. So most of us Christians today that say that we're Christian are Protestant, are members of the Protestant Reformation that separated or caused a schism from the Roman Catholic Church. And again, this is all church history that it's important for us to know and understand. Most of us don't even know church history, and it goes much deeper, and we're going to dig into it much deeper. That's why we just starting with foundational principles. The foundation is to address the word itself, because that's the peg, or the foundation upon which Christianity stands. That's the leg that we choose as our strongest standing point, is that the Bible is the ultimate truth. It's the infallible, unblemished word of God, inspired by God through men speaking. And what we need to point out is that there are some flaws and there are some discrepancies within what we accept as the word, and we accept it because that's what's been given to us. And so let's just look at some of the teachings. Let's look at a few things real quick as we talking about the discrepancies. And again, now notice I'm not saying that we throw the baby out with the bathwater. If you pay attention, I'm just pointing out some things that we need to begin to look at on a personal, individual level, so that we can begin to have a different approach and a different perspective when it comes to our seeking for true spirituality. We need to realize that things are not always what they seem, because what happens is we've been lied to. And if we don't know any better, then I made a note. So we've been lied to, and we don't know any better. So we've blindly accepted that which has been given to us. In other words, we don't know what true spirituality is, because we have that which has been fed to us for generations. We talking hundreds of years. Grandma, granddaddy, great grandmama, great great grandmama, great uncle, great aunt, and these are people that we love truly tremendously. And it's hard for us to accept or think that they would give us misinformation or misguide us. But again, we can only know what we know. So they're giving us based off of what they know, based on their limited information. And remember, it started for us in slavery. And so we literally had the slave master would literally beat you, hang you, torture you for learning how to read. However, on Sunday, you were allowed to put on your good rags and listen to Nat Turner. I'm just giving an example because he was a preacher, but listening to the preacher to give you the word to tell you to obey your master. And they trying to teach you these things that they claim come from Most High and come from the Creator, but they not practicing the same principles. So this is how we receive this information. This was not the doctrine or the information that our ancestors came here on. This is the information that was given to us, and we've blindly accepted it because we don't know no better. You get what I'm saying? But remember, lack of knowledge is not an excuse. You know what I'm saying? They talk about not knowing the law is not no excuse for not breaking it. If I'm driving down the highway and the speed limit changes from 70 to 50, and I'm still doing 75, and the police pull me over and I say, oh man, I thought it was that doesn't stop me from getting a ticket because I was unaware that the speed limit changed to 55. It's up to me to pay attention to what's going on and to observe, the speed limit changed, I need to lower my speed. And I'm just pointing out, so they tell you all the time, ignorance of the law is no excuse for the punishment that comes with breaking the law. And so it's the same thing when it comes to spiritual laws. You get what I mean? Just because we're unaware of the significance spiritually doesn't mean that we don't fall subject to the rules or to the laws. And so our lack of knowing isn't an excuse. And so what happens is that if we fail to seek truth, if we fail to take the time to actually desire and seek after truth, then by default we are automatically sold and given and accept the counterfeit. If we fail to seek truth, then we automatically are given the counterfeit and we accept it. So if I tell you something and you accept what I give you at face value and you don't go to confirm whether that information is true, then that means you automatically subject to whatever it is that I told you, even I not knowing that I'm lying to you. I'm telling you something just to benefit me and for my own personal gain, because you didn't take the time to go confirm the information to make sure to measure it out and to make sure to know that it's truth. You get what I'm saying? And so for those of us that say we're Christian and we claim to be followers of the word and followers of the book, there is truth that is intermingled in the lie. And that's where we have to learn to discern. God tells us in the word that we ought to seek after truth, that we ought to thirst after knowledge and truth as precious jewels. But he also said that in all thy getting, we ought to get an understanding. And so it's up to us. He said that we ought to study to show ourselves approved, the workmen unto God. And so these are things that are necessary, not to accept even what I'm saying to you now. That's my point. Go and research, look it up, dig it up, find out for yourself if what I'm saying is truth. Don't take my word for it. Don't take the preacher's word for it. Don't go into the building on Sunday and hear what the preacher say and walk out of there saying, yeah, God said. No. You ain't did no research. All you did was heard a message, but you haven't done the research for yourself to confirm and discern whether or not what you received was truth. So again, what do we believe? Do we believe based off of truth, or do we believe based off of information that has been fed to us? I'm gonna just share a scripture because it just came to my spirit, and this wasn't even part of what I was gonna do. I'm hoping I can find it real quick. I don't even fully know where it's at, but it just came to me. Like I say, we gonna deal with truth and begin to break things down in a way that we can understand. Okay. So let me see here. I'm in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, and I'm going to read with you. Let no man deceive you by any means, that day shall not come away, except there first come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. So we talking about the the end day, and we're saying that don't let the man deceive you, because the man of sin will be revealed. And he says, he who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. So we talking about an imposter. We talking about one who shows himself that he is God and puts off an image to make the people believe that he is God, but he's actually an imposter. And notice I use the term Most High more than I use the term God, because this is what I'm talking about. There's a God and there's multiple gods that are not the creator. There's one creator, intelligent design. The creator is the Most High. God can be in many different forms. Your God can be your money. Your God can be your, whatever you put your time, effort, and energy into can be your God. But I'm talking about the creator. And so we have an imposter that's sitting in the temple, an imposter that's sitting in the throne, trying to draw in your worship and trying to get you to praise him as though he's the Most High Creator, and he's not the Most High Creator. And so this is important that we pay attention to what he's telling us. He said, remember when I was with you that I told you these things. And he said, and now you know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. Now watch it. He says, because the mystery of iniquity doth already work. In other words, the manipulation and the deceit is already at work. Whenever this information was pinned down, however many thousands of years or hundreds of years that this information was pinned down, they were already in the process of creating a manipulation, of creating a counterfeit that would deceive people and make people think that they were following truth when they were not following truth. And he told us that we ought to be aware. We got to pay attention, and we ought to be seekers of truth so that we don't be deceived. How do I know that? Because this is what he says. For even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. We talking about somebody that's operating with some power and some signs and some lying wonders, manipulation and deceit. And he says, with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, watch now, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Because they received not the love of the truth. I'm sharing truth. It's up to us to be discerners and to be seekers of truth. And he said, and for this cause, the God, the Most High Creator, shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, and that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. I don't make this up. I'm sharing with you as it was given to me. So if we say we're going to be followers of the book, and we're going to be believers of, we're going to be followers of God, and we're going to follow truth, then we have to follow truth. We can't just lean to our understanding based off of information that's been recycled and regurgitated for generations and passed down to us, that we can see is obviously has error and flaw in it. This is why it's important and pertinent that we have proper teachers and that we take the time to seek and search for ourselves, because this is why he talked about the working of iniquity is already at work. The manipulation, the process to create the counterfeit was already at work with deceivableness. That there's a man operating with power that's putting himself in position to demonstrate and show himself to be God, and that people would be deceived and that people would follow after him. Now this was then. So what state do you think we exist in right now? So what is it that you think that you're following right now? You're following the manipulation of iniquity. That's why he said I will send them strong delusion that they would believe a lie. I was there myself as well. I'm a licensed and ordained minister. So I was in the church full and wholeheartedly following after doctrines that have been passed down without full understanding. But I bless the Most High because of a desire to actually seek and search for truth. Like he said, a lover of truth. I only love truth. I don't love position. I don't love people patting me on my back, telling me how good I am. All the people telling me how great of a preacher and how anointed I was. That's not what I love. What I love is being able to answer people from my heart, knowing that what I'm delivering is truth, because that's what's been revealed to me and illuminated to me. And so I'm a lover of truth. And so in that process of seeking and searching, he allowed me to be able to be a discerner from the right and the wrong, because we talk about being able to know the tree from the fruit that it bears, and that a good tree cannot bring forth corrupt fruit, nor can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. So that's why I point out, when we talk about the body of Christ, the church, remember the church is made up of people. The church is not a building. God dwelleth not in temples made with man's hands. The church is not a building. That's what we have come accustomed to, because again, we're following traditions that have been passed down. So we really think that my church is the church, or that my church is a church. No, the church is made up of the people of believers. So we don't even know what the actual body of Christ looks like, because every person physically that's walking into a building on a Sunday morning is not necessarily a member of the body. This is why he says, depart from me, I never knew you, you workers of iniquity. You know, many will say unto me unto that day, Lord, Lord, have I not, I don't know you. I don't know you. I never knew you. And so this is where we have to become discerners. Remember, the word also talks about wide is the gate and broad is the path, you know, that leadeth to destruction, but straight and narrow is the gate that lead to life. And he said there be few that'll find it. He talked about us knowing truth. And he said that once we come to understanding and revelation of truth, that truth will set us free. But in order to be set free, you have to first be in bondage. And so if truth is the key that breaks you free from your bondage, then the bondage that you're in is a lie. And so it's up to us to be able to understand what the lie is that we're in bondage to, if the truth will be able to set us free. And the lie is the manipulation that we've been fed for generations on this religious aspect about religion, because what it is it's a counterfeit to truth and spirituality. I'm going to share one last thing with you. I got plenty more to discuss. We'll get into it, but I'm reaching a 27-minute mark, and I didn't want to go much longer than 30 minutes. Like I say, I'm just getting started back. And I really want people to be attuned, and I really want people to engage and really want this information, but to go back and seek. So I'm going to share one last thing with y'all, and then we're going to chop it up. Grabbing out another book, my Webster's. Pulling out the Webster's real quick. As I was just saying, the lie that's been fed to us and how we stick in it. So I'm gonna share. This is Webster's. I don't know. Let me come to my camera. Let's see. I probably will do some editing on my video to make it to where you can see it. But this is the word religion for those that are able to see that. I'm showing it, the highlighted segment. Religion, supernatural constraint, sanction, to restrain or tie back. Supernatural constraint, a sanction. You know, when you sanction something, that means, you know, you put a parameter on it. You put boundaries on it. That's what sanctions mean. Sanction, like, you know, if you've been sanctioned, you got a boundary or a limit that's put on something. To restrain or tie back. That's the definition of religion. Now, of course, it says other stuff in there about the worship, you know, of gods and different things, but they put a truth in there. Religion is a supernatural constraint, a hindrance to tie back. Do you hear what I'm telling you? This is the truth. And so for us to actually access true spiritual power, we first have to separate from the lie. if we're followers of Christ, as we claim, that's what the terminology Christian actually means. And this is what I follow. I follow the teachings of the Christ, which is the anointing one. And so when you follow the teachings of a Christ, remember the teaching was that the kingdom of God is within you. Christ taught about the kingdom. And they continued to ask questions. Lord, when are we going to see the kingdom? And he said, it can't be observed with eyes. You can't see it. It's not here nor there. He said the kingdom is within. So how can we externally find the kingdom if the kingdom is within? And religion only teaches us to look externally. It teaches us to worship externally. It teaches us to look externally, to move externally. It teaches us to focus externally. And then more importantly, it teaches us to conform to the world and the system of the world, when we were clearly told to be in the world but not of the world. So again, there's so much that we can dig into. This is scriptural backed and scriptural standing that I'm giving you. But again, this is just a foundational beginning that we're starting on. I done reached the 30-minute mark, so I don't want to go over. But again, if you have questions, please put them in the comment section. We're going to dig into all of this. We're going to continue to go through this rabbit hole. We're going to continue to talk about this information. We're going to continue to go through scriptures and go through the book to begin to break down and discern and separate the truth from the lie that have been fed to us. That's what we're going to do. We're going to continue to dive in the hopes of sparking people to just begin to think and begin to pay attention and question what we believe and what it is that we follow, and for us to study and search for ourselves. Don't accept what others have given you. Don't accept what's been passed down. Pay attention to the fruit that's being bared. Pay attention to, the book talks about knowing, try the spirit by the spirit to know if the spirit is of God or not. These things are pertinent. We've been given instructions on how we can walk and maneuver, but we don't follow them because we follow that which has been fed to us. And it's time out for that we stop following that which has been fed to us, because like I say, if we follow that which has been fed to us, then by default, we automatically accept and live off of the counterfeit. And remember, counterfeit is an identical replica to the real thing. If I give you counterfeit money, it look exactly like the real deal, but it's not real. You go in the store and try to spend it, you might pass it off, but then they're going to look at that camera and come back later, and the police going to be looking to arrest you. The whole George Floyd thing came about. They say he was trying to pass off counterfeit 20s. Counterfeit ain't real. It gives an impression of being real. It looks like it's real. It for a second, you know, it gives the energy as though it's the real thing, but it's not the real thing. How much power do you actually see being displayed? Look at our community. The Christianity, the religious way of tradition that's been passed down to us for generations, it's been here for generations. We've been doing the same thing for generations. Look at our community. We haven't, like I said before, we have a record number of mass murders, mass shootings, violence at an all-time high, over-sexualized immorality, evil running rampant. Ain't no more love out here in these streets. Come on, man. We got to begin to pay attention to the tree and the fruit that is bearing, because we've been given instruction. So if we're going to really be followers of Christ, we're going to have some transforming, some changing, some renewing that's really going to take place to identify who we really are. Like I say, I don't want to continue to go too far in it. It's your man Jay Free. I promise you with everything in me that I love you, and I only wish you the best. Peace and blessings. Until next time. Like I said, like, share, and subscribe until we meet again. Blessings. Peace.